Welcome to the Franchise Show. I hope you're all doing swimmingly and you've had a good week in franchising. So, it's the Franchise Show. This is the show where we get under the hat of some of the most important conversations in franchising. I'm really going for my new catchphrase now, really embracing the hat. And I hope you're all doing well. So, what is the Franchise Show? The Franchise Show is a live show. It's live if you're watching on July the 9th between 5:15 and about 6ish UK time. And if you are here live, you can comment and we can bring your comments up on the screen and they're part of the conversation because the Franchise Show is, as you can imagine, about franchising. And we have all sorts of people involved, franchisors, franchisees, and franchise experts. And every week we take a new topic and a lovely guest. And we've got a lovely guest today as well. We always have a lovely guest. Today is no exception. Each week we take a new topic and we have a deep delve into that. And this show is all about you. It's all about the community at large. And we love people to get involved, ask your questions, because this show is about questions. It's about what questions you might ask. It's not necessarily always about answers, especially if we don't know the answer. Without further ado, I would love to introduce our wonderful guest, and it's Aicha Bascaro from American Franchise Academy. And we're going to find out all about what that is and how it can help us in our franchise worlds. I'd love to hand things over to you. Welcome to the show. Perhaps you'd like to introduce yourself and explain a little bit about where you're at right now while I put a few people up on the screen.
Hello, Harvey. First of all, thank you for having me in your show. So good to be here from the other side of the pond. Like you said, my name is Aicha Bascaro, and I'm the founder and CEO of the American Franchise Academy, and I'm hailing all the way from Atlanta, Georgia.
Very good. Excellent. Very good. And you're in the past as well. It's very crazy, isn't it? You're 5 hours behind us. So it's lunchtime for you. Well, look, thank you for that lovely introduction. Before we get into things today, let's see who's here. And we're going to start with the lovely Tim Morris. Tim is a lovely chap, part of a team of 3 who have got a fantastic podcast all about franchising called the Franchat podcast. I call him one of the 3 musketeers, you see. And he's put, hello, franchise friends. Great to be here and looking forward to this discussion. Well, so am I. So am I. Now, look, we have a mystery here. We have a LinkedIn user that says, hey, Harvey. We can take some guesses who it might be, but whoever it is, it's great to have you here. We have Penny Hopkinson. Well, Penny is one of our lovely sponsors, and I will put up her official thing, but I've got a book, so I can put it up like that. And anything about manuals and knowledge sharing, she's your gal. So contact Penny to find out all about that. And Penny's put, hello, Harvey and franchise friends. Great to be here again. And it's great to have you here. We have the ever wise Simon Wise, and he loves that joke. He really does. So it's great to have you here, Simon. Really looking forward to hearing your thoughts. Today is going to be about learning and, what we have to learn to be a good franchisee. Who else have we got? We've got David Sweeney. Great to have you here. David, you haven't been here for a while. Oh, actually, he's saying that as well. He's put, hello, Harvey, not been here for ages as I've been traveling. Well, you are welcome back anytime, David. It's always great to have you here. And David heads up a lovely pizza company, I think. Dojo, I think. So great to have you here. And I hope you sold lots of pizzas. Who else have we got? We've got Natalia, former guest on the show. All things legal and contracts and agreements. And Natalia's put good evening. Oh, well, good evening to you. And the cool emoji. Very good. Love the use of the cool emoji. And we've got Jason Caber, another one of our lovely sponsors from SEO Samba. And Jason's put, hi, Harvey and Aicha. So lovely to have you here, Jason, and looking forward to hearing all of your thoughts on our discussion today. So, Aicha, I was going to ask you, what's your background? I mean, a lot of people know you, but we have to do this. So, what is your background, and what's brought you into the world of franchising?
That's a great question, Harvey. I'm actually a 35 plus year veteran in the franchise industry, and I really got into the industry by um, I think it's just by fate. It was not something that I decided to do. It was something that just happened after going through college and having a small business that actually failed. I decided I was 21 years old and I wanted to have a job that was easy and fun until I figure out what to do with my life. And a pizza delivery driver actually went by, and I thought, you know what, delivering pizzas. At that point, you know what, I was broke. I needed to pay some bills, and it was a Domino's pizza delivery driver. And I said, you know what, I'm going to deliver pizzas for a while, and that's how I started in the industry, delivering pizzas. And once I got into the store, and it was in a corporate store, by the way, in Dallas, Texas. And I started seeing and looking around all the systems and processes and templates and forms and training. And just that experience made me realize why I have failed in my own business. It was a little boutique in Dallas. And I just loved it, and I just stuck around. And I went from being a pizza delivery driver, assistant manager, training specialist. I traveled the world helping implement that particular brand. I've been in several global brands: Domino's Pizza, Popeyes, Olive Garden, Darden Restaurants, and the last one actually I was running the brand for a little while. And I just love everything about franchising. I love the fact that it's based on systems and processes that if you actually implement them the way they're designed to be, your likelihood of success is much, much higher than if you don't. And so that's what got me to franchising.
Fantastic. All that talk of food is making me hungry. It's nearly dinner time here in the UK.
Yeah.
No, that's a great introduction, and thank you so much. We've got another comment here. Looking forward to this discussion. Well, so am I, and we're getting into it right now. What is the American Franchise Academy? And why did you feel that there was a need for this? How does that sort of fit in to the learning that a franchisee or a franchisor might need to do?
Yeah, great question. So, I was, like I said, about over 25 years in the industry, working in the corporate side. So a third of my career has been working at the headquarters, reporting or being in the executive level, C-level of of these big franchise organizations. Another third of my career has been spent in international. I lived in 14 countries. I opened the first Domino's in Spain, the first Domino's in Dominican, et cetera, et cetera. I opened first brands, supporting massive franchisors around the world. And then my other third time of my career, I spent running operations. I actually was running company stores for Domino's and for Popeyes and Darden Restaurants. And so I'm a very, unique individual that has had the view of the franchising world in all the ways. I actually run a franchise for a master franchise international with two brands. And after 25 years of doing all that amazing experience, I took a sabbatical and I had to decide, what am I going to do? What's my next steps in this amazing world of franchising? And, I could either continue my career path in the corporate world or become a franchisee or doing my own thing. And while I was doing and contemplating that, I started getting, calls from franchisees that knew me from my past when they realized that I wasn't in any particular brand working and asking me questions. And brands actually reached out to me to help their master franchisors, around the world. And what I realized is that the things that they were asking me were about the business management systems of the franchise, not about the brand systems. And so I realized that there was a big need for that because most franchisors do a really good job about helping their franchisees, teaching them how to duplicate the brand, the product, the service, the image, the marketing. There's ops manuals and training guides and job aids and procedures on how to duplicate the brand systems. But when it comes to the actual management of the business, which is the other half, as you know, we at the Academy see the franchise business as two sides. One of them is the brand systems, like I mentioned, the ones that the franchisor provide, a proven brand, product, service, processes, image, marketing. But then there's the other side, because the brand systems brings you revenue, right? If you have a good brand with a good product, a good service process, a good image, that the customers are willing to give you money in exchange for that product or service, you're going to have sales. So the brand brings you revenue or sales, the oxygen of the business. But does not mean that it's going to turn into profit. The way that you turn it into profit is if you have the business management systems, how to find and hire and retain and inspire great people, how to control your controllable cost of cost of goods and labor costs and, repair and maintenance, how to properly understand your financials and where the opportunities that are. So this is what we call the business systems that then turn that revenue into profitability. And this is where I saw that was lacking in the industry, and what the questions from these franchisees and the things that the franchisors were asking me to help master franchisors around the world with. And the reason I had that expertise is because I spent a third of my career running company operations. And when you are a corporate employee that runs corporate, company operations, you are taught that. You are given those tools and the resources. But when you are a franchisee, and that's kind of the biggest secret in the franchise world, that when you become a franchisee, you get everything you need to be successful, and not the case. What you're getting is a proven brand that brings revenue. You need to have the business acumen, the business systems and process and procedures to turn that revenue into profitability. And so that's where the American Franchise Academy came in. I realized that I had a lot of knowledge to give and information that franchisees needed. And that was the beginning of it. I became, first of all, the accidental consultant. When the first franchisee reached out to me and said, "Hey, Aicha, would you do a consulting for me?" And I didn't even know what that meant, right? Because up to that point, for me, consulting was the FBCs, the franchise business consultants that work for the franchisor to help the franchisees. Anyway, so we figured it out, and for a little while I helped them, and then somebody else found out and they called me and I helped them, and I realized, okay, well, maybe I'm up to something here. And that's where the American Franchise Academy happened at the beginning. It was just me helping franchisees with the systems and giving them this knowledge that was so needed in the industry.
Knowledge is very powerful. We've got a few questions actually that have come in, so I'd like to bring some in. We've got a question from Jason, which we're going to put up and we're going to talk about right now. And we've got a question coming up from Simon and another question coming up from Penny. So hold tight, you guys. We're going to get to these questions because we love this. So let's talk about Jason's question first. Jason's put, what are the qualifications for an emerging brand to work with you? A young brand. That's a great question, Jason. How do you take that one?
Right. So actually, I don't actually work with emerging brands. We are, I would say, 100% focused on franchisee success. There are lots of people helping franchisors. I mean, there are lots of consultants, lots of companies helping franchisors and focus on franchisors. And that's something that I noticed early on too in this journey. And not many people helping the franchisee succeed. And so that's a commitment that, me and my team have made from the beginning, that we are all about helping franchisees be successful. And really what we focus on is helping franchisees not only become profitable or be profitable, but also grow into a multi-unit. Being a franchisee of one unit is you just get a job. Really, I know that franchisees do not get into franchising to just have a job. They really want time and financial freedom. And the only way to acquire that is through multi-unit franchising. And so that's what we focused on. That was at the beginning. All the franchisees that reached out to me were the ones that were multi-unit. And they were having many, multiple units and going crazy because they didn't know how to handle them. As a company operator, I was a director of operations. I had 60 plus units in 3 states for one brand. I had 28 in another brand, and so we learned the systems and how to handle and multi-unit organization. So that's what we focused on. What has happened since then is that emerging franchisors have found out about us, and they reach out to me, and we have a conversations about what we offer. Because one of the things that is different in the US, and you tell me, Harvey, if I'm wrong, but something that's different in the US than in UK, and I don't know much about the UK, so I might be wrong, but in the United States, there's this thing called joint employer liability that prevents franchisors from actually getting into that business management and people management systems for the franchisees. They are unable to teach or support franchisees on those areas, because if they do, then the joint employer liability comes on board, and now the franchisors will be liable for anything that the franchisee or their employees do. So they're hands off. In the United States, they focus on the brand systems, product, service, image, and giving the franchisees a proven brand that works well with innovation, etc. But the franchisees are pretty much on their own in many of these team management, cost control.
Yeah, so you've taken those skill gaps and hopefully are filling those. I mean, let's quickly. We are going to get to these other questions, but you said you don't deal with emerging brands and you deal with franchisees. So let's say you're a small brand or a young brand, and let's say you've got maybe, I don't know, 10 franchisees, and one of those has got 3 sites. Where is that point where you can start to help a franchisee within a franchise business? Is it a number of sites? What is the qualification?
No, really, for when it comes to our flagship program, which is the command program, it's really any franchisee that wants to either just implement systems so that they can delegate operations to a manager. If you want to have only 1 unit, we do have single unit franchisees in our program. So if you only want to have 1 unit, but you want to be hands off and you want to be able to have the systems documented, defined, and be able to delegate operations to a manager, hey, you know what? Absolutely, we will work with you. Okay. But really, it's anyone that wants to grow into a multi-unit organization. So if you have 1 unit and you know that you have assigned a 2, 3, 4 area agreement, of course we'll work with you. I would say that emerging franchisors, even growing franchisors, and even startup actually reach out to us. And the way that we do help franchisors is when they find us, they just introduce us to their franchisees as a source to give them the knowledge and the tools and the resources that they cannot give them because of either joint employer or just resources. Franchisors have only X amount of money to spend on protecting and growing the brand. And so they don't, because another reason why they don't provide this knowledge is because of the lack of resources and money. And so we become a resource for the franchisor so that they can always have the franchises come to us for the knowledge that they need. So I guess the way that we work with, franchisors is that we become a resource for their people so that they can focus on the brand systems and we can help the franchisees with the business management system. So that's kind of how we do it. And we actually have some franchisors that will not let any of the franchisees go multi-unit unless they go through our program, because it becomes a problem when someone might have the money to become a multi-unit and the will and the desire, but if they don't have the business acumen and the understanding of what it takes to run multi-unit organization, they're going to have, challenges, and some of them, might fail. And so their franchisors have said, look, we want you to go multi-unit. You have the money, the will, but now reach out to Aicha and the Academy and go through that program so that you understand what it takes to manage them. So that's how we do it.
Fantastic. I mean, I think that's answered the question from Jason very well there. It seems to be, your focus is on franchisees, teaching those skills that allow them to generate and maximize profits. And as long as a franchisor has some franchisees that have at least aspirations for multi-site or absentee, perhaps, business operations, then there's a conversation to be had. So that's fantastic. Look, let's get on to a couple of other points and questions. First of all, I do want to bring up Natalia as my resident UK legal beagle. Is that a word? I don't know. Anyway, Natalia's put, we don't have joint employer liability here yet, thankfully, but we have to be careful to stay on the right side of it, as most things start in the US tend to come over, and this would be a concern. Yes, I think so. Most litigation is put in place, hopefully, for good reason. And I think it's very true. Certainly, it's why this show has always been a UK, US, and worldwide. But we like to learn from one another and see what happens in the different areas. We may be ahead here in time, but you've been doing franchising a bit longer than us. So anyway, great to have you here, Natalia, and thanks for that comment. I'm just going to comments are coming in thick and fast now. Thanks so much for being here, everyone. If you have just joined us, this is the Franchise Show, and we're talking about learning, and we're talking about academies, and we have a lovely guest who runs a wonderful academy in America called the American Franchise Academies. So great to have the conversation today, and please do join in where you can. Let's have a look at a comment from Penny. Penny is one of our lovely sponsors, and I am going to put up a QR code. If you'd like to sponsor our show, you're very welcome to. But Penny has put, large franchisees may have up to 5 generations in the workforce. How does the academy cater for generational divide so that the system is faithfully replicated? Well, that's a great question. Do you come across this generational divide, and lots of people of different ages, and big families running multi-units?
Oh yeah, absolutely. And she's absolutely right. You can go, really in almost any business that has 10 or more employees, it is not uncommon to see multi-generation employees in the organizations. And here is where leadership is so crucial for franchisees. And one of the things I would tell franchisees when they start, joining us, especially the new ones, that would say, hey, welcome to the franchise world, and welcome to being a parent and a psychiatrist, and teaching how to teaching people how to be employees, and being a coach and a mother and a father to employees. Because really, when you join and you say yes to franchising, you're saying yes to all of these other things that you did not expect to be saying yes to. And one of them obviously is being aware of all the generations and how we are all different. However, as we go through the process, what we do is we just help them create these systems and processes that, if they're clearly defined and provide opportunity for everyone, then I think that it overcomes the generational issues. Because at the end of the day, we all have aspirations. Maybe there might be different aspirations. Maybe the older generation, and I'm going to generalize, so I'm sorry for this, but I come from an older generation, and for us is put your head down and work hard, and you accomplish things. Newer generations is more about purpose and being able to change the world, right? And so as long as leaders, as we're creating our culture in each of our brands, and we take that into consideration, then you can actually address the needs and desires and hopes of everyone. And I think that by creating a culture that accepts people and takes into consideration the growth and desire, as well as changing or improving the world, is so important. As a matter of fact, it's one of the first steps when you join the academy. We are working on your culture, because before we can talk about financial statements and break-even points and inventories and any of those things, you have to first get it to the minds and hearts of your people. And so it all starts with your culture. And so we will go through the charter: mission, vision, values, purpose. Like, what you as an entrepreneur, as a business owner, what do you want to stand for? What do you want a company to stand for? And as we guide them and say, hey, take into consideration that it's not just about the customer. It's about your employees. It's about your vendors. It's about each other. And so as we guide them in that, creating that culture, that charter, to take all that into consideration. I think that if they are able to create a inspiring charter and mission, we can align multi generations going in the same direction. And so that's kind of how we do it. And again, it's all systematic. It's all about, here is the mission, vision, and values, and teaching everybody what it is, and then following up and living that culture. So I think that's a way to do it.
No, it's fantastic, and knowledge is really powerful, and knowledge can certainly be taught amongst generations. And Penny is all about knowledge sharing. So a great question, Penny. Thanks very much for putting that up. Let's have a look. We've got so many great comments here. I want to make sure that we get to them all today. So I'm going to put a quick one up here. Let's have a look. Simon put one here. This was earlier on the franchisor side. Where are the skills shortage, knowledge gap? In the UK, I would have to say it's franchisee recruitment with a genuine talent shortage in that field. I know you deal with franchisees, but obviously as part of a franchisor network, would you say that there is a typical skills or knowledge gap? And, is it, franchise recruitment, is that a big challenge there in the US?
Well, I mean, I would say that it would have to start with the fact that franchise brands, franchisors, they want to scale, they want to grow, right? They want to, have development going on, in different states and different places. And there's not a whole lot of people, sitting around waiting for, the brand that, with experience in small business management and understanding financials and leadership and all those things. Most people, the pull from where franchisors have to be able to have the development, plans and goals that they have in place come from, places like current corporate jobs, right? People that have, through their 401k or retirement funds, have accumulated enough money to be able to invest in a franchise. Or some people work for the government job. Some people might be real estate agents or insurance agents or architects, even doctors. I have a client that's a dentist, somebody else that was a lawyer on, in the medical industry. Anyway, so there aren't, the entrepreneurs that have the skills of how to execute a brand and how to manage a business. They're already doing that in their own business. And so really franchisors are limited to whatever pool, is available. And being able to be a great leader in a corporate job does not translate to being a great leader in the franchise industry when a lot of your employees are going to be first-time job employees. Not the same thing. And when you are a corporate executive leading, project management, you don't actually know how to calculate the break-even point, or even maybe read a financial statement of a small business and understand the opportunities. Or if you are an insurance agent, you may not know what kind of questions you need to ask to be able to hire the right, 18-year-old to run, your store. And so while, and that's the conundrum the franchisors have, right? This is the pool, and they try to do their best to select the franchisee that has the highest chance of success. But most of them are lacking the small business management experience, unless they are people that already have a small business or another franchise. And now they're going, what we call it, then they're becoming a multi-unit, a multi-brand. But I would say that the majority of new franchisees don't have that. And so it might be different in the UK, but I know that in the United States, that's just a reality. And they do their best to try to support them along the way. But either way, I mean, there's still a lack, and it's difficult to find the right people that have all of it all ready to go. And so that's the reality of the franchise world.
Yes, absolutely. Before we move on, let's recognize a couple of new people who've joined, and then we're going to add a few more questions on. We've got Brittany Satterfield here, founder of Impact Digital Marketing, and one of our lovely sponsors, our new sponsor. So fantastic to have you here. And Brittany's put excited to be here. Harvey and Aicha. P.S. Yes, this is so crucial. Well, it's a very crucial conversation to have. It's fantastic to have you here, and glad you're enjoying it. Let's have a look at what else we've got. Oh, I've got to recognize Don Cohen. Don Cohen has taught me everything that I know about LinkedIn Live, and he's a fantastic chap. He's a kind chap. His show is wonderful. It's on before this. It's on 3 days a week. He used to do 7 days a week. And I encourage you to connect with Don. If you want to do a LinkedIn Live, connect with Don, because he's a genius and a lovely chap. Great to have you here, Don. Let's have a look at a comment here. Let's go for one from Tim. Let's see what Tim's got to say. Tim's put, the joint liability issue is a big challenge for franchising in many jurisdictions. The lack of business management skills is probably the biggest single issue for creating sustainable franchisee success. Unfortunately, even if franchisors are not able to provide this support, they very often don't have the resources to be able to do so successfully. Yeah, it's a great point. And again, you know, you're offering a service here to hopefully fill some of those gaps. And great point there from Tim. Sorry, go on. You were going to say.
No, I was going to say, you know, that's exactly right. We always say here that the franchisors do not offer the support and training and development on the business management systems, you know, for two reasons. One of them, the major one, is a joint employer liability. The second one is exactly what he's saying, you know, in resources and money, because there's only so much money coming in from royalties. And, you know, franchisors have to determine, where are we going to put this money? Are we going to put it through marketing, you know, or development and innovation to keep the brand, you know, innovating and growing? Or do we create, you know, or, you know, equipment or technology or the field team to ensure that the brand is working the right way and ensuring that the brand is protected? And there's a limit in resources, you know, and that's why, you know, why we're here. Honestly, if joint employer did not exist and franchisors could charge more royalties to be able to do this, we would not exist, right? And that would be amazing if the academy didn't need it to be exist and I could do something else. But the reality is that because of that is why we're here. So much so that while we started supporting franchisees on their systems, we actually help them put together a management manual, literally, so that they can then give these management manual to their managers to, you know, transfer knowledge and information. As they were growing, they actually helped, you know, they were going multi-unit, they were hiring a district manager, and they say, okay, Aicha, I hired the district manager. What do they do? And I'm like, well, they supervise. And then it dawned on me that, again, there is no training on how to be an effective multi-unit leader, district manager for these, you know, business owners. So we developed a training program to train these district managers, multi-unit leaders, because normally these men and women are promoted from being a unit manager. And the job of the unit manager is completely different of that of a multi-unit leader, because, you know, your unit manager position is dictated what you do every day by the day-to-day operations. As a district manager, you decide every day where you're going to go, what you're going to do, how you're going to do it, why you're going to do it. And there is no training, or there was no training and guidance on that position. And so we launched that. And again, all is to help franchisees have the tools that they need to be successful, because the franchisor doesn't have the resources. They cannot develop a training program for the district manager position where there aren't that many district managers in the brand. They have to make decisions as to where they're going to put the resources on. And so that's where we come in.
Absolutely. If you have just joined us today, this is the Franchise Show, and we are talking about learning today. And we have Aicha from the American Franchise Academy to talk about how, as franchisors and franchisees, we can improve our learning, improve revenue, improve profit, and improve our happiness and our success within the franchise industry. I'm going to put up a little QR code that's actually for me. Look at that lovely chap down there. We have one more sponsorship opportunity open. And then that's closed for our wonderful sponsors, and we'll give them all a big hug and we'll continue together. But if you would like to get your message out to the franchise industry, and you can scan the QR code that's on the screen now, and that will take you to my lovely website. Let's have a little look at some more comments, because we've got a few come in here. Let's have a look at one from David. David's put, does the fact that you found a niche in the market to work with franchisees highlight a lack of care from franchisors to manage and develop their brands? Do you ever find an area of conflict when you succeed where they have failed? What a great question, actually. What you're offering is fantastic. You're offering to fill a gap, and franchisors should be delighted because they're going to have more successful franchisees. But do people feel, do franchisors ever feel threatened by the fact, or feel that they're not providing a full service by not offering some of the things you do? How does that go on?
Well, not really, because they in the US they know they cannot because of the joint employer liability, right? And sadly, they also know that a lot of franchisees come to them thinking that they will provide all of this, which is why I call the biggest secret in franchising that you don't really get everything you need to be successful. You getting a proven brand, if in fact it is a proven brand. One of the things that I don't do, I don't talk about brands, I don't recommend brands, I don't speak negatively of brands. However, within our clients, we do guide them on analyzing their brand and seeing where they're at, as far as whether it's a successful proven brand or it isn't, because at the end of the day, numbers don't lie, right? And so that's why actually franchisors that find us, because we don't really go out to find franchisors. Like, franchisors found us when they're looking for ways to support their franchisees. And they know, I mean, if you see me and follow me anywhere in our social media, you'll see that we always talk about these two sides of a franchise world, the brand and what the franchisor is actually giving you, and the business side, which is what you as a franchisee are responsible to acquire on your own. Because this is a business degree, and you're not paying for a business degree when you're buying a brand. You're paying for a brand anyway. So we have been able to turn around and help many franchisees, become profitable when they were not. And that's simply because of the lack of knowledge. So yes, there are times in which we are able to successfully support a franchisee in, being able to accomplish their financial goals with the franchise. Not because of the brand not being a proper one, but because they didn't have that knowledge. And so, yeah, the basis of success is you have to have a proven brand. If it's a brand that the model of the brand is not one that can allow success with the average franchisee, with the average operations and the average employee, then that would not be a proven brand. Because at the end of the day, a brand has to be one that, if it's managed on average, it should be profitable. And so the business model should be that the cost of goods should not be outrageous, or the labor required to manage it is outrageous, right? Like, the model of the brand needs to be one that, if it's managed properly, on average, then it should be successful. And so if they have that type of a brand, then by us teaching them how to manage it properly, they will be successful. And so sometimes when we do help franchises that are not, doing well, it's simply because they did not know what to do. And you'll be surprised how many of them just don't know. A lot of the stress and the frustration from these franchisees, who, by the way, do not verbalize it to the franchisor because they don't want to be seen as somebody that does not know what they're doing, is simply because they don't know. The moment that they start getting the knowledge on even how to, calculate the break even of their business, to understand what exactly they need to do to turn it around. I mean, every time we do that exercise with our clients, it's like, and the exact guidance on how to recruit, how to interview, how to hire, how to onboard, how to pay them, how to motivate them. Tactical, practical. Like, we don't do theory fluff. We do tactical, practical. Step 1, step 2. That's what makes a difference. And the franchisors honestly don't have the time or the resources to be able to do that and provide that for the franchisees. So
fantastic. A great answer to that. Simon's put a comment here that we can discuss, and he's put that at the end, and let's have a look. Simon's put, it should be the franchisor that's driving the growth from within, rather than outside agencies that don't have skin in the game. Discuss. I get the point. We love to have an open discussion here, take different sort of viewpoints on things. Obviously, you're an agency that's outside of that, trying to help franchisees. But of course, there's an element of responsibility that must lie at the door of the franchisor and the franchisee themselves. How do you answer this question?
Well, I mean, when the franchisees come to us, they already made the decision to grow, and the franchisor already has approved them for them to grow. Like, we do not drive the growth. What we just support the growth decision that has already been made by the franchisor by providing a market area agreement to these franchisees. So we really are here. So whenever that decision has been made, whenever the franchisor has proven a multi-unit growth and the franchisee already has made that decision, that's when we come in, right? We do not, I mean, one of the questions that we ask our clients is that, what's your goal? How many units do you want to have? Because the decision or the guidance that we will provide to someone that wants to grow to 100 franchise units versus 6 franchise units, the answer will be different on what type of infrastructure or guidance or systems you're going to put in place. And so we let the franchisee guide those decisions, and then we give them the guidance based on whatever that goal is. I mean, and so that's it. So it's not like we are not driving the growth. We are just supporting the growth of the decisions that have already been made by the franchisor and the franchisee.
Great. Fantastic answer to that question, by the way. I'm going to put up a comment here by Alex, because it's a good one. Alex, first of all, welcome to the Franchise Show. Thank you for being here. Alex has put, as an intern. Now, I'm really passionate about young people getting into franchising. It's a big thing for me. So good to have you here. As an intern, I've discovered the American Franchise Academy to be an exceptional learning environment. Well, that's good. In just a short time, I've gained invaluable insights. Aicha's dedication to empowering others to achieve the American dream, oh, look at that, through franchising is truly inspiring. Well, look, what do you say? What do you say to that? A young person here getting into franchising, and that's a great thing to hear, isn't it?
Yeah, what's amazing, how many people do not even know what franchising is. A lot of people do not understand that every time we have a new hire in in the academy, the first thing that we need to ask, we ask them is, do you know what a franchise is? And 9 times out of 10, the answer is not really. People outside of this world do not understand franchising. And so we do provide a lot of knowledge. And so that what she's talking about is what our purpose is. We have a mission and a vision and values, but our purpose, why the American Franchise Academy exists, is to protect the American dream of business ownership through franchising. And that's what we tell our franchisees. Look, this is not about the money. Honestly, this is really to protect that dream that I've seen throughout, my entire career. People that are putting all of their money, all of their resources, all of the savings, all of their hopes and dreams into this opportunity of franchising. And many of them, too many of them, they end up, brokenhearted and they lose that dream because they did not know this knowledge. They did not know about these processes and systems that they needed to have when it's so easily taught, right? And so that's one of the things. We always have interns, in the academy from the US and actually international. For us, we want to be able to spread the word as much as possible so that people discover how franchising can actually help, worldwide bring this dream of entrepreneurship to anyone. And so that's why we do what we do.
That's fantastic. And thanks, Alex, for being here. I completely agree. I've got John Hayes of the Titus Academy coming on here. I've hopefully got one of his students coming on possibly at the same time, which would be fun. But, I'm very much into publicizing and making sure young people understand what franchising is, and consider it as a viable option when they're looking at business ownership, when they're looking at employment, whatever they're looking at, but to at least allow it to be an option for them. So I'm a huge fan of that. So spread the word, Alex. Fantastic to have you here. Let's have a look. What do we got time wise? We've got about another five or so minutes. So let's have a little look at a comment here. It's a big one. It's not going to fit on the screen, Tim. It's a big comment. Let's have a look. Tim's put, I'm a firm believer that most franchise brands, especially service brands, have significant amounts of untapped revenue and therefore untapped franchisee profitability. possibly in the region of between 50 and 75%. Business management skills are at the heart of this opportunity. Franchisors should not be scared of allowing their franchisees to flourish beyond the original business model. Do you have franchisees you have supported who have exceeded franchisors' expectations? That's a good question. Let's take the end point of that first of all. Through adding extra knowledge, through any program and through any extra knowledge, can that exceed people's expectations? And have you experienced that in your time?
Yeah, absolutely. It's interesting. Let me give you an example. We have one particular franchisee that joined us when he was in the process of acquiring a 7-unit package. Now, he was acquiring those 7 units from his own parents. He was in the finance world, in banking, but he grew up inside this franchise, but basically on the store, not even management, but he was an employee, a team member inside that brand. He never learned the management side. So then he went to college, became a banker. And then as a banker, started supporting a lot of franchisees, and he realized, wow, how much money these franchisees actually make. Maybe I should go back and, do something with, our parents. And right along that way, the parents were ready to retire. And so him and his sisters acquired, the 7 units, but he was very smart. He knew that he did not know or had the management experience of the small business. And so as he was going through the process of acquiring those first 7 units, he joined our program. And that's how he learned all about the systems and processes, about all the, employee life cycle, the 8 phases, and all the, the documentations and the step 1, step 2 of all of that. Not only that he needed to learn, but how do we then document it into this management manual that now we're going to give it to our managers so that they can do the job that they need to, the way we want it to be done. And so as he was going through that, eventually he acquired those 7 units. And because he started with those systems and processes, he was able to then within 2 years be at 22 units now. And of course, now he's actually at the, he has been in the stage at the conference of these very, very large brand and being recognized because of what he has been able to accomplish. But he was able to accomplish because he was able to get the resources he need. And he did an amazing job at implementing it, because that's another thing, right? Knowing something is one thing, implementing is another. And he has been able to implement those systems, and that has made him a successful. And now, initially he said, well, and I asked him the question, how many units do you want? I said, well, I don't know. We'll grow as we see. But you talk to him now, and he says, we want to get to 100. 100 is my goal, because now he sees that it's totally possible. And the more he grows, the easier he gets because of that. And so what we're teaching, by the way, is not magical, and it's not, special. It really is the tactical, practical steps that it takes to be able to implement the systems that the managers and the team and the district managers can implement every day to produce, positive results. Is really consistency of these systems that cause the amazing change. And we have a process that allows them to know exactly what it is. We have a 112-point assessment that we say, look, if you get to an 85% in the score on this, on this assessment, you will get there. You will become a top performing multi-unit franchisee. And I can promise you that, because I've been there, I've done that. I not only was I an operator, but I work side by side with many of these top performing franchisees. I've seen what it takes, and that's what we do every day. And so, yeah, the people that join us, go through our program, and many of them stay even beyond it because they want to stay in the mastermind and the access of information because of how it changed their operations and their results.
Fantastic. Thank you very much. We are starting to draw towards the end, and I don't like to keep these lovely people too much longer than about 50 minutes, or yourself. So we are going to round things up today. It's a conversation I'm sure we could have again. We've inspired lots of thought today, I think, and people hopefully have thought of some questions that they might be asking, and thinking about maybe sort of improving their learning, and thinking about how they're going to improve that learning when they're on their franchise journey. So before we talk about next week and what's going on our sister show, Aicha, I'd just like to give you a quick opportunity to let people know the best way to get in contact with you if they would like to know more about your academy.
Thank you, Harvey. Yes, if you are a franchisee that would like to, or is already a multi-unit franchisee and would like to know what it takes to be a top performing franchisee, or if you have a district manager or managers that need training on how to be successful at their job, and even, by the way, we gone down to unit managers where we teach about the management and leadership skills to be successful. All you need to do is come and visit us at www.americanfranchiseacademy.com. In there, you'll find many ways to reach out to us or schedule a call with us at admissions, or send us a message if you want to speak with me. I would be happy and love to be able to share what we do. And if you are an emerging franchisor that you can see that maybe we could be a resource for you and your organization, please also reach out, because we would be happy to share with you how we can help your franchisees be successful, and therefore your brand, by the way. So thank you for that. And I look forward to hearing from people from the other side of the pond on how we can serve you and achieve your American dream of business ownership through franchising.
Fantastic. That's fantastic. Thank you so much. First of all, before I talk about next week's shows, first of all, thank you to everybody who has joined us here today live, and everybody who watches this in the future. This show is what it is, not because of me, not because of our guests, but because of you. And it's because of our wonderful community. So it's been fantastic to have everyone here. You make this show what it is. You make it special. So thank you for taking the time today, and look forward to seeing you next time. And talking of next time, so this Thursday, our sister show, Franchising Brand Stories, we will be finding out what's under the hat of the Barden Group, with Nigel Topless. So that is going to be 5:15 GMT, 12:15 EST on Thursday, the 11th of July. And next week on the Franchise Show, we have Danny Paliva on. And Danny is going to be talking about franchise fame, actually franchise marketing. And Danny was very kind to send this, which is a lovely book, and we're going to be talking about that one. So do join us as well for the Franchise Show next Tuesday, 5:15 GMT, 12:15 EST. So until then, thank you so much for being here. You're all wonderful. Have a fantastic week ahead, and cheerio.